YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back after a wild divisional round of the NFL playoffs. The Bills-Chiefs game just got done moments ago. I'm here to give you the recap, my takeaways from these four games. We do this every single week throughout the regular season playoffs. We got all kinds of playoff content. We already got off-season content rolling, a lot more to come. We got all kinds going on Twitter. A lot of my thoughts are already on there from these games live. So check out that Twitter, link down below, pinned in the comments for many things. Make sure you join us, like, subscribe, turn notifications on. Much appreciated. Twitter, the conference championship games, picks already underway. You guys are making picks. That'll be involved in the picks video, of course. So, yeah, a lot going on here on the Twitter, so check it out. Link down below. It's fresh in my mind, all of our minds, the Bills-Chiefs game that just got done. So let's talk about the Sunday games first, starting with this one. So interesting order we're going in. It's kind of what I felt like doing. I mean, this was just an insane game. You know, I can't believe the amount of points scored in the last 2 minutes of the game, less than that even. The way it started, it's like, all right, probably going to have a shootout. Bills go down and score. Chiefs go down and score. And then all of a sudden, a little bit of a stall right there, you know. Felt like, yeah, maybe a lot more defense than expected. In just the last few minutes of the game, it just turned into the offensive game. You worried about the over. I have the over in this game. You worry about that hitting. And it not only it hit with ease, but I don't even know where to start with this. We can go to the end here first. I mean, the big thing was 13 seconds left. There's 13 seconds left. The Bills have the game wrapped up. 13 seconds. I mean, I'm just going to say, could Brady do that? I mean, probably. Rodgers maybe, but Mahomes is something specialist offense against maybe the best defense in football all year. Just absolutely ridiculous. But the biggest mistake in this game was the Bills right there during the kickoff with 13 seconds left. They kicked the ball out of the end zone. You know, purposely kicked it out of the end zone. If you kick it to the returner, short of the end zone, more time comes off the clock. So the Chiefs will they can't win. They can't win unless the kick return gets in the field goal range. The Chiefs are dangerous. So if there was no discussion about the decision from the Bills, that'd be the worst part. If they were just, kick it deep, didn't even think about it, didn't even tell the kicker anything. That would be really, really bad. I don't think that's the case. I'm assuming, obviously, because I'm not down there with the headset on. I'm assuming, but I'm pretty damn sure they thought about it, and I think they trusted their defense more than the special teams against the speedy Chiefs return game. One good kick return can get in field goal range. But that's kind of the problem there. You gotta, the defense was so good all year, so they trusted it. But there's such thing as just too much confidence in defense. Understand what's going on with this game. So that was a big problem for the Bills in this game. They were just a little too confident in their defense, and that should not have been the case based on what was going on here. So then they had the opportunity, even though there was still it's only 13 seconds. Even kicking the ball out of the end zone was a big mistake doing that, but only 13 seconds. First play, all right, it's whatever. You allow a decent amount of yards there. Not that big of a deal. But allowing that one to Kelsey was pretty ridiculous. I mean, the safeties, I went back and looked. They were playing over 30 yards off the ball. It's crazy. We'll talk about the Bucs game. I talked about this on Twitter already. We talked about we will talk about the Bucs game, but completely the opposite. The Bills are playing 30 yards off the ball. Credit Tyreek Hill there because his speed, over the top speed, or any type of speed is in their minds, and that's probably why they're playing that far back. Guarantee they're playing pretty far back either way, but the safeties aren't really worried about the field goal. They're worried about the touchdown, which you can question that because you just want to win the game, right there. Don't even allow overtime. But yeah, the Bucs do the complete opposite and send a blitz, have no safeties over the top. So pretty wild. Pretty bad day for potential head coach candidates Leslie Frazier and Todd Bowles. Interesting. But yeah, and they just gave that up. They pretty much gave it for free. But yeah, the Bills defense, I mean, it's been good all year, but in a moment like this, to think they were going to be that stout defense again was just, probably ridiculous because it's just the Chiefs at this stage, different animal with that speed. And again, I talked about this on Twitter, but at this time of the year, I catch myself saying, is Tyreek Hill like the best? Is he the best non-quarterback, the best playmaker in all of football? Because that speed is just just unbelievable. Just unbelievable. And it's just such a feared player. And at the same time, he gets the productions, gets the big plays. But, I mean, yeah, we were back and forth at the end there. I mean, if the Bills would have won the game, I mean, we're probably, a lot of people are probably saying how lucky the Chiefs were. 13 seconds left, some mistakes by the Bills there, kicking the ball out of the back of the end zone, giving up those points, hitting the field goal, even getting the opportunity. I think the game's over, so rightfully so, you could say the Chiefs are pretty lucky. Rightfully so, though, you probably could say the Bills are pretty lucky. I mean, they converted 2 4th downs, one Josh Allen. I mean, hell of a game from Josh Allen. Escapes, Gabriel Davis breaks some ankles. Gabriel Davis had a hell of a game. They get the 2-point conversion, and Bucker left 4 points off on the field, so yeah, some wild things kind of back and forth, but Tyreek Hill goes, and we know when the Bills score the first time around there at the end that the game's probably not over. Too much time for Patrick Mahomes. Tyreek Hill scores pretty quick. At that point, it's like the game's definitely not over, but you're starting to feel a little bit about the Chiefs. But the Bills just go score. 13 seconds left. You're thinking, all right, I know the Chiefs are capable of pretty much anything, Patrick Mahomes, but you're thinking the game's definitely over. And the Chiefs pull it out in overtime. And I'm going to circle back to the beginning of the game. We're kind of going in a backwards order. It's just fresh in my mind what just happened. So, and everyone else is probably. But, overtime. Chiefs go and win. Well-called drive there. The only bad play call for the Chiefs this whole game was it was a 3rd down option call with Kelsey at quarterback. It didn't overthinking things, did not like that. Got a little too fancy last week against the Steelers, which resulted in a TJ Watt touchdown. You're losing the game. End up not being a problem, but similar. Similar. Only thing I didn't like. And then people, of course, it's going to happen. They're going to bring up that overtime rules are stupid and, this and that. But and you can definitely make the case that the rules should be changed, but at the end of the day, they're not changed. This is where overtime's always been. It's how it's always been. Teams have lost because of it. Teams have won because of it. It is how it is. You can't really, you definitely can't blame the Bills' loss on overtime rules. That's 100% what you can't do. You can say overtime rules are stupid. Sure, you can definitely have the opinion on that. You cannot have the opinion, a little harsh, you cannot have the opinion the Bills lost because of the overtime rules. That's just, I don't even think that's opinion. I think that's just how it is. They can't. I mean, it's just that's how it is. It's the NFL. If they change it, then that's how it is. But you can't allow that the field goal with 13 seconds. The defense has got to play the defense the way the defense played all year, and they weren't even close to that. Maybe we got a little too hyped from a Patriots game last week. I think a lot of people did. But so the Chiefs go pull it. If the Bills got the ball first, would they have? They probably would have won. I don't think it would have been as easy as what the Chiefs did. Maybe, but they probably would have won there. But because they were on a tear. Gabriel Davis, fantastic. Josh Allen, fantastic on the ground. Love how he wants those extra yards. Lowers his shoulders, try to run people over. But go to the beginning of the game. A lot of people probably don't care about the beginning of the game at this point. But the Bills go down there only playing small ball and score, convert a couple 4th downs, so it's close to not scoring and getting Chiefs great field position. But they go and score, and it was so perfect that they were able to win that drive only playing small ball because it's gonna keep the Chiefs thinking. It's a divisional round game. The Chiefs are here because they're not stupid. They know that we can't only focus on the underneath game. It's going to take a lot more than just the first drive, but you got it in their head. So that was a perfect drive from the Bills. Like, we got underneath games there. They insisted on it. They didn't go downfield once. It's there. And the Bills, and people were complaining the Bills kind of stuck to the underneath game. Honestly, Tyrann Mathieu getting injured, not in terms of the whole game, but him getting injured might have hurt both teams. Obviously, it hurts the Chiefs because it's their star player, obviously. But the Bills, I think, kind of insisted on the underneath game a little bit more, rightfully so, because Tyrann Mathieu's out, because this guy is always around the line of scrimmage, strong safety / slot corner type player. He makes plays everywhere, but within the 10 yards. So that's probably why. I think a mixture of that, and they wanted it because, again, one drive isn't going to get the Chiefs kind of get up in the box. It's not going to do it. We're playing a really smart, good team here, well-coached team. So the Bills did wait a little bit, maybe a little. I don't know though. I liked their angle. I did not really have a problem with running Josh Allen because I said that going into this game, like they're going to win with Josh Allen running, and that was a big factor in this game. They didn't really run the ball a whole lot. If you look at the numbers, though, they didn't really run an insane amount of times. at that point, but people were kind of complaining when they were losing. I didn't really mind it, and it opened up the downfield game. It did, and you did enough offensively. Your strategy offensively worked. Could you score more points if you attacked downfield earlier? Maybe. I didn't mind the strategy. People were complaining when they didn't run the ball, and then they were running the ball. It was only by Singletary with 7 carries at that point. We're halfway through the game, and I don't know. So I didn't really disagree with it. I like the strategy. I kind of wonder if Tyrann Mathieu and then him being out definitely helped the Bills at the end there, because there was a free-for-all out there. But I wonder if him being out was like, all right, let's stick to this underneath a little bit longer we wanted to. It was definitely their game plan. I can feel it, Could be wrong. I don't think so. Definitely their game plan to try to get them up, I guess the argument there is, do the Bills need a team like the Chiefs to play up? I guess that's the argument. You can win without it. You can win when guys are covered downfield. Josh Allen and Diggs, Gabriel Davis have that ability. So I guess the more I'm talking, the more, I don't mind the strategy at all. Maybe they went with it a little too long. They ended up scoring enough points, though. It ended up kind of working and clicking there, But I wonder if Mathieu being out, if Mathieu was still in there, do they like, oh, let's just go downfield? Because this guy's, depending on where he lines up, I guess, pre-snap. But, I thought that was interesting. The Chiefs, they had success pretty much the whole game. I did think the Chiefs, even though the Bills had the game wrapped up with 13 seconds, it's probably debatable, but I felt like the Chiefs were winning this game most of the time because they were outplaying their opponent most of this game. Pretty damn close. Mahomes, ridiculous against pressure. I mean, he wasn't pressured a whole lot. There was times where he had to hold the ball a little bit. He's just so smart. Eyes in the back of his head. Knows when to take off. Knows how to fool pass rushers. Suck them underneath the blockers so Mahomes can go back around. Chiefs offensive line, where it was in the Super Bowl last year. I know it was beat up, but to now, ridiculous. Love the way Nick Bolton's played on defense. Defense side of things, a rookie from Missouri, the linebacker for the Chiefs. Fantastic draft pick. I love Gabriel Davis, how he's improving every game in this game for the Bills. Love Josh Allen's game. These are just two heavyweights. Talked about it, so hard to get revenge. So hard to get. I didn't like that. I don't know if the Bills were making it. I kept saying that. I don't know if the Bills were necessarily calling a revenge game, but everyone else was calling a revenge game. It never really works out. You had 13 seconds and had it sealed, and they couldn't do it. So it's pretty tough. That's got to be. I'm not a Bills fan, but I can kind of feel it. It's got to hurt. It's got to hurt real bad. 13 seconds away. You think you have it. It's pretty tough. And we'll see the Chiefs play the Bengals in the AFC Championship game. They had a thriller, intense game a few weeks ago, a little more than a few weeks ago, against each other, where the Bengals won, where the Chiefs kind of blew a lead a bit. Bengals figured out a mismatch problem in there and really controlled the game late. So we'll see if it's different this time around. So that's pretty exciting. This game was wild at the end there. It was wild. Bucker hits that clutch kick. You got to credit him. That's a tough spot. He did leave 4 points off the field. One was a 50-yarder at the end of half. It happens. Can't miss that extra point there, though. That's just a wild game. To finish up with the Sunday games, and we'll go back to the Saturday games. A wild game. Wild game. I don't know how the Bucs came back. I guess Akers fumbling twice. That Rams had that snap where Stafford wasn't ready for it. Just kind of a fluky thing. That thing launched backwards, too. Brady hitting Evans on that deep ball. I don't know how the Rams... This one was, you could say the biggest choke of all time was, probably against Brady on a different team, but the Falcons in the Super Bowl just because it was a Super Bowl. But that game, it kind of felt like the Patriots were just better, and that's why they came back. They just started slow. Maybe the Falcons were damn good that year. I picked them to win the Super Bowl that year, so that was tough. But this one, I think, would have been worse, and people probably would have said this was maybe the second worst choke just because that was a Super Bowl. I would have said this was the worst because the Rams just completely outplayed them, and they show that they were the better team in this game, at least. If they played again, I get not how it works. Maybe it's different, but I don't know. It just showed they're the better team at this time of the year right now as we speak. They're just the better team away, too, on top of it. They dominate the trench. Maybe if Wirfs is playing, maybe it's different, but Whitworth was out as well. So this would have been a bad choke. It would have been a head scratcher. Because the Rams deserve to win this game. They outplayed them. Yeah, it was tough. The Bucs do put you in a pretty tough position because when you're leading on the Bucs, they're I don't care what the numbers say. I know there's a couple other teams up there that had stout run defenses, including the Rams this year. I don't care what the numbers say, and the numbers look good for the Bucs, but it is plain and simple. The Buccaneers have the best run-stopping defense in football. It is plain and simple. It's so damn good. And so it's tough when you're up and you're up by a good amount. You really just want to run the clock. And I'm not a big conservative guy, but I'm also not don't focus on the clock. You don't want this game to take forever when you're playing Tom Brady at the same time. But you also, just want to go score points when you're against Tom Brady because he can come back at any given time. So it's a mixture of both. But it puts a guy like McVay in a tough situation because you do want to roll some clock, but you can't really run on this defense given who they are going into the game and given what was going on in the game. And the pass is working. But credit McVay, they kept passing. They kept passing. That Kupp fumble, as good as Cooper Kupp was how he finished the game. That fumble was a pretty big, that's that one. It's about Akers fumble twice, pretty big. That snap, those are the kind of the highlight, in a way, points. But I think the Kupp fumble was actually, you almost forget about it a little bit. I think it was the biggest one. It's just kind of a fluky thing. You don't see Cooper Kupp making mistakes. As great a player as he is, elite player. But because why I say this is because that kind of made them go to back to the run game there a little bit because they were passing because it's working and that kind of bit us in the ass. I'd say that was kind of a fluky thing. The pass is working. The run is not. Akers already fumbled. They put Sony Michel in because, Akers is a phenomenal young back. Insane that he came back from that injury like that. I love that. I love that player. I love that type of player. I like that guy a lot. I think he's a heck of a ball player. But, again, he came back pretty early from the injury. Factor that in. He fumbled in a bad spot on the 2-yard line, 1.5-yard line. I think you have Sony Michel in at that game. It's easy to say after the point, but for the reasons I said, it makes sense. It makes sense. But kind of going back, the Kupp fumble happened, and then the Rams went conservative, and they still should have had the game though, even going conservative. So it's hard to blame McVay. He did get conservative at the end of the 49ers game, at the end of the regular season. Otherwise, they'd have been home in this game and ended up not mattering. But I didn't like that time. But it's hard. It's a tough situation to be in. I guess that's what the Bucs do to you. In the game, and that kind of goes to the end. The Rams, went to playing their offense, which was forget the clock. Let's go get some damn points, and it was just so easy for them to go get the free field goal. Not even just a field goal, a free field goal for Matt Gay there. So that's why I was very confident with the Rams went to overtime. It's just an assumption because we don't see it for 100% fact. But I know people were saying if the Bucs had the momentum and went in overtime. Understandable. But the Rams just went into a totally different type of mindset, really on both sides of the ball. Different types of calls, different types of plays, mindsets, everything. If the Bucs was starting, the only shot that if the Bucs won the coin flip, went and scored touchdown right away, I don't know if that would have happened, but it could have. But the Rams went back playing to. Again, they were dominating the trenches. They were getting the pass rush. The trenches on both sides, and when they were playing their offensive game, it was easy to them. So the Rams had this game won. The Rams had this game won. It was a crazy, insane of a comeback it was, and that dime throw by Brady to Mike Evans, and that was right when it happened. I'm thinking, where was that all game? And I was kind of like, oh, I'm stupid, because they instant thought and then instant correcting myself. Because Brady just didn't have the time, and there was random few times where he had the time, so you could say, what about those times? Well, Mike Evans wasn't running deep one-on-one down the field on those times, so the one time Brady had protection and Mike Evans went deep, Brady was able to step up in the pocket, do his thing, step up in the pocket, let it sling, pearl of a ball. Great job by Evans getting that separation touchdown. That was a beautiful play. I thought Fournette had a fantastic game for the Buccaneers. But yeah, Stafford was great. Offensive line was great. The biggest thing is the Rams having the collection of weapons and just spreading the damn thing out. It's not your basic offense. But At the end of the year, it kind of became a basic offense, though. They're different because they have all these receivers. They spread it out. Most teams are just run the ball, put some tight ends in there, maybe two of them, and there's two receivers. It's ridiculous. It's like 1974 football, random date. But they got pretty basic because it was pretty much just straight drop back. We're kind of going to look at Cup a lot. But they changed it up a bit. They got people guessing with the run, the play action. I mean, the drop backs. OBJ is kind of looking more and more like his old self every week. That's huge for the Rams. That's big time right now. So the Rams had a hell of a performance offensively. They started out right out the gate here. Defensively, I mean, Aaron Donald was fantastic. Nick Scott was real good. Von Miller was insane. So now that trade's coming along. Picking up OBJ is working out for them. He's getting better every step of the way, looking like his old self. Guess what? The trade for Von Miller didn't look too great towards the end of the regular season. He's looking like him old self. It looks fantastic. A fantastic trade. He was impressive. A lot of the time was on Donovan Smith too. So that it's not like it was, picking on the backup guy Wells over the other side, but so they had Donald on the edge sometimes too. But the Rams just outplayed him. Ridiculous performance. The Buccaneers. Well, first on offense, there's something I was calling for them to do. I wish they would have done. I'm surprised they didn't really think of it. Maybe they did. I didn't notice. I would have liked for them because they got the problem at the receiver position. Tyler Johnson's not playing too well. They got a problem. Even Gronk doesn't look right. I would have taken Mike Evans, put him in a slot. I would have tried this a lot too. Put Mike Evans in the slot. They did try that a couple times. Just try to get him away from Jalen Ramsey. I put Fournette on the outside. When you put a running back on the outside, and realistically, Fournette might be their second best receiver. Believe it or not, you can argue with me on that. But if you do that on the same side, maybe you take Ramsey away from Evans, try to get a mismatch, something that's really not in film a lot with Evans in the slot. But a lot of times when a running back's out wide, teams are stupid and put like a linebacker on him, put a mismatch. They probably wouldn't have done it, but you would have created some confusion and guys. I think you would have created something and some separation, spread the field out. So I wish they would have done that. But this was there was some bad play on defense from the Bucs. You expect these pass rushers to win. Joseph Noteboom's another guy we got to credit. That's Whitworth's backup. He had a fantastic day against some good pass rushers. He had a fantastic day. So got to credit him. Got to credit the offensive line, the coaching staff, the offensive line, coaching staff in general for the Rams. But these pass rushers got to win more. It's crazy to say maybe, but we're so we're so used to Devin White, Levante David making these flashy plays. They weren't too standoutish, but it's hard to blame a guy for not making crazy plays. So we're not really blaming him. But notice that safeties kind of blew, or the defensive backs kind of blew some things in coverages. But I thought it was a very poorly coached game defensively from the Buccaneers. Very, very poorly. What the Bucs do best, they do it more than anyone and better than anyone in the NFL. Blitz. Fact. The Dolphins are up there, sure, but the Buccaneers, they 100% blitz more than anyone. They do it better than anybody, especially this time of the year. And they weren't doing it early. They were not doing it all. Through like three quarters, you can count on one hand how many times they did it. And it's understandable. Again, a team that has that many weapons out there, because when you're blitzing, you're taking guys away downfield. A team that has that many weapons and it can air the ball downfield, you don't want to do it as much. That's understandable. And that's what makes the ending of this even crazier. Am I losing my voice here? But it's your game. It's what helped you win a Super Bowl last year. It's what got you helped the defense ball out this year. It's what they were best at, and you just weren't blitzing at all. There was a 3rd and 20 at one point earlier in this game where the Rams scored a touchdown on, actually. Earlier in this game, everyone should remember. Just blown coverage, but cover 2 is not it there. I hate cover 2 there because in every single cover 2, unless the corner sticks with the receiver, because the corner's got the flat in cover 2, safety's got over the top. In every single rep in cover 2, except for when the corner is very smart and sticks with the receiver on the sideline for a lengthy time, which isn't too often. You want them to do that unless somebody's in the flat right away. But most time in cover 2, we'll say that. Most time in cover 2, there's always going to be a hole shot option most of the time, which is about 15 yards downfield. And then, so it's a 3rd and 20. But you have that. that potential of a good quarterback. Matthew Stafford's a good quarterback with a rocket arm, hitting that hole shot. So I don't like the call for that reason. But the bad thing about cover 2 is the safety's got deep half. So if you put 2 guys kind of in that deep portion of the field and make the safety pick one, you're in a pretty good situation. And the Rams, with those collection of weapons, all those weapons, they spread the field. They did that. They put 2 guys deep, kind of borderline is whose guy is it supposed to be. And Mike Edwards chose the wrong guy there. Carlton Davis should have stuck with the outside receiver a little longer. But yeah, it's a bad call calling cover 2. So you're making mistakes, not blitzing. I don't need them to blitz. Maybe they don't need them to blitz as much as they normally do. I just need them to blitz. And then running cover 2. And then, I mean, there was a portion where they started to make stops, but just because the Rams were running the ball and the Bucs were kind of getting lucky a little bit there with the snap going back and Cup fumbling. But I'm sure they're making some plays. But then you get to the end of the game where they actually tie it up and try to send it to overtime. And Stafford hits Cup on a deep shot. And teams rarely go for that deep shot, so I got to credit them, just playing their game, doing them, having the balls, But at that moment, the Bucs ran. Not only did they go blitz, they went cover 0 blitz, which is just an all-out blitz. The safeties are in the box. That is when you don't call cover 0 blitz. It's just, I mean, you can blitz in that scenario. I wouldn't even blitz in that scenario, even if you're the Bucs and I'm calling for the blitz all the other rest of the game. But you can even blitz in that scenario. It doesn't have to be a cover 0 blitz, no safety help over the top. It's not a well-coached game by Bowles, who might have a head coaching job coming up here. Frazier, too, same for him. Rams, impressive. They're kind of doing what I want them to do. They're switching up a little bit, not just straight dropbacks and staring at Cooper Kupp. I love that, but they're going to go play a team in the NFC Championship game that they have not been able to beat. They lost 6 times straight. It's a team that, the Rams can stop the run, but it's a team they can't stop the run against. For some reason, they get out-physical every time they play them, but can they figure them out? They had a 17-point lead on them last game of the year, so insane. I don't think Tom Brady's going to retire. I know people ask that question. I don't think he'll retire. I mean, I could be wrong, but I really don't think so. Bucs, they need to go get some receivers. I suppose. Defense, I'd say, their defense let them down, but they got some good players. I thought it was poorly coached defensively. I thought that was number 1 there. To the Saturday games, I can't believe the Titans lost this game, honestly, mainly because, look at what Tannehill throws a pick the first play of the game. Hell of a play by Jesse Bates. That's my guy right there. That guy's a stud. He's going to get paid this offseason. First play of the game, when you have a great drive and get in the red zone, you throw a pick. And then the Titans' last offensive play of the game is just the worst time to throw a pick, and we'll talk about that play. I got a big problem with that play, that sequence there for the Titans. But why I say I can't believe the Titans lost is because, you tie the record for sacks in a playoff game. It goes back to 1960s. Basically, the guys weren't the same. It wasn't the same type of football, talent, players, men back then, speed. Titans essentially broke that. That was the best defensive line pass rush performance in the history of the NFL playoffs, and you lost the game. It's just mind-blowing. The playoffs, if you dominate the trenches, you win. That's just the playoffs. It's a dream scenario to dominate the trenches. And I picked the Titans because I thought they would dominate the trenches. They did dominate the trenches. I did not think they were going to break a record or tie it, whatever. I'm calling it break for sacks in a game and dominate that much. And they lost on top of it. It's just like a dream. It's what you dream of there if you're that team, that coaching staff. It just couldn't get enough points going. You threw 3 interceptions at some really, really bad times. I think the Bengals, I love the Bengals defense. I love the 49ers defense. I love both those teams switch it up. I think the Titans have the best defense in football. I was saying at the end of the year, I think at that time, were they the best all year? No, I think the Bills probably were the best all year. At the end of the year, I was calling the Titans the best defense. I look at this game. I think the best defense in football is going home in this game. I know the Bengals have a weaker offensive line, but this was just ridiculous. Jeffrey Simmons, Danico Autry, Harold Landry, Bud Dupree. Bud Dupree's that guy I've been talking about a long time. He doesn't get a lot of production, But he's that guy. You got to double team him. You got to figure out where he's going because he'll align in different spots. It opens things up for other guys as well. And those guys they don't need somebody to really open things up for them. They're that good. So I'm not trying to take any credit away from them. But that is a defensive line. Technically, those guys are outside linebackers. They get different looks. It almost looks like Titans are known for a 3-4 base, but you can't really call them that. That defense, Kevin Byard, Amani Hooker had a ridiculous game. They got Cunningham in there. David Long's playing. That defense was insane. It's a shame they couldn't pull it up. The Bengals defense also insane. Just the different looks. DJ Reader was ridiculous in this game. One of the best run stuffers in football. Not too many top-tier nose tackles. He's fantastic. Just a well-called defensive game by the Bengals. Well-called. That pick to start the game, I mean, insane. How do you start a divisional round playoff game with a pick the first play? That's the right play call from the Titans, too, in the start. All right, let's fast forward, then we'll backtrack. I love doing that for some reason. The Titans pick at the end there, which it was unfortunate, really, because it just bounced around a lot, and the Bengals got it. Bengals being those playmakers that they are, finding the ball, respect it, credit to them. But I have a big problem with that sequence for the Titans because what were they doing in that moment, but leading up to that moment? They were just making sure the Bengals weren't touching the ball again. They were making sure. We're running the clock. If this goes to overtime, Hey, if we just somehow get in the field goal range, sure. Their main focus, nobody can argue with me on this, main focus at that point in that sequence was running the clock, making sure the Bengals don't get the ball back, and then they end up letting the Bengals get the ball back. But my problem here is they really contradict themselves in there. They're focused on the clock, but then they throw a ball into tight coverage. Did hit the guy in the hands. It wasn't a bad ball. It was a bad decision by Tannehill. It wasn't a bad ball, though. It's kind of a tough ball to hit. I technically hit it. You just shouldn't make that decision. But it's a very contradicting moment. It's just that's what it is. It's just apparently Tannehill and the play callers were on the same page, but Tannehill was taking his time like he was on the same page and running the clock. I'm not really sure what happened in that moment. It's a very contradicting is the best word, I guess, to describe it moment on what happened there. Titans play calling. This is a big debate here. People blaming it a lot. It's tricky because it was either great play calls / play designs or just really bad in important moments. And I actually look at most of this game. I'd say easily a majority of this game. The play call, I like the play calling, the play designs. They kind of just weren't executing. I didn't like that Foreman was getting less carries. Foreman got better and better as the year went on. He looked really, really good. He got 4 carries. He looked really good. Really good. The Titans, believe it or not, they were we talk about dominating the trenches on the defensive side. They were, I wouldn't say dominating, but I mean, even the run game, they were making some holes, but Henry just didn't have that burst to get to the hole, and the first tackle was bringing him down 8 foot tackles, which makes it understandable what he's coming off of. I mean, he's got metal in his foot. But I think Foreman should have played more. It's crazy. I thought some people were saying that going into this game, like, Foreman probably should play a little bit more still. Could they hurt themselves by having Henry? I'm like, that's just the most piping hot thing I ever heard. Technically, those people were right, I guess. Not too many were saying it, but Foreman should have got some more carries. But back to what I was saying, that's what I didn't like. Majority of this game, there was some really good play calls and play designs, I thought. A lot of misdirection, motion, sending the defense the wrong way. It's a good defense, too. Earlier in this game, Tannehill was, and then the interceptions, but wasn't going for tight window throws. I think starting the game with the interception really messed with him. That starting the game with interception affected that. Now that I think about it, you could say them contradicting themselves at the end. It's a big one. Mike Hilton's fantastic, by the way. That Mike Hilton play. You can say that was a big one. I think now I'm thinking about it. Starting a game with an interception. Yeah, because Tannehill wasn't trying to make the tight window throws. He was again towards the end. He was hitting some. They just left so much out in the field there. It's the same thing as last year. The Ravens took Derrick Henry away. The Bengals took Derrick Henry in this game, and they got to go win in the passing game. Couldn't really did. I mean, that touchdown to A.J. Brown towards the end of the game was a pearl from Tannehill. He made that tight throw there. trusted himself. Just after he threw that first pick, he wasn't doing it for a stretch. Other they had some good play calls out there. But again, it was either a lot of good play calls, play designs, or then just there wasn't that many bad play calls. But when there was, they were real. When there were, they were really, really bad in a really bad moments. I don't know if that was directly the play call at the end where they kind of just Tannehill forced downfield. I don't know if the staff and Tannehill were on the same page with that. I'm not really. I can't even say. But there was a moment. I almost forgot about that. Going for 2 earlier in the game cost them too. They have won the game. They would have been up 1. They could have just ran the clock. Who knows what would have happened? It would have been different, but it felt like Titans would have won the game. That was a bad decision. If it was to go up 3, I understand it. But going up 2 in that moment instead of going up 1, I didn't really feel a scenario where that was going to be big, being up 2, take the lead, so that was bad. But there was a moment before the series, the drive where the Titans last had the ball at the interception. They got down the field. They were able to kind of control the clock a little bit, and they were marching. They had a third down. And it was this. It was inches is too much. It was less. It was an inch. It was in a centimeter, And they go shotgun read option. I don't like it. It's pretty bad. You just put Tannehill under center and you sneak him. I mean, that's just got to be the call. I think overthinking, that's a really, really, really bad decision, mainly because the shotgun part. You're making it further. I hate that. On top of that, all right, so you blame the play callers. You blame the play call. It's really bad in that moment, a crucial moment. But then it is what it is. Stupid call. We ran a read option. Got to execute. No, they did not execute. Derrick Henry would have got the first down there. I think it was him versus Jesse Bates. Fine player of Jesse Bates. I think he makes tackle, but I think Derrick Henry falls forward for the first down. Why they didn't execute? Tannehill made the wrong read. It's called a read option. Quarterback reads, unless for some reson they told him keep it. You're faking the handoff. You're keeping it. Some cases that's the case. I don't know though. Maybe that's what it was. But Tannehill kept the ball into 2 defenders. If it's the case where he keeps it no matter what, it's just a brutal call, design, whatever. I don't think so though. You'll be pretty stupid. So Tannehill makes the wrong read there. They go on 4th, which really don't mind, but I just expect a little bit more than a straight handoff to the guy that was kind of struggling, couldn't get much going. Kind of going back to that 2-point conversion. Derrick Henry had a shot to get in and out of that. He was going down so easy. It just wasn't right. I think Foreman would have got on that. Foreman wouldn't have converted that 4th down. I think Derrick Henry converts that 3rd down, like I just said. If read option, terrible call, but if Tannehill makes the correct read, give the ball to Henry, I really think he gets that first down, and the Titans probably win the game if they convert on 3rd, 4th. Credit to the Bengals defense for being stout, stepping up. Yeah, that Mike Hilton play, going back to that. I mean, the Titans have putting together, that was their best drive of the game right there. And Mike Hilton makes a ridiculous play. That ball was way too low from Ryan Tannehill, way too low. Should they have kept running to Foreman? It's one of those where it's like hindsight, yeah, probably, but but the Titans dominate the trenches. The Bengals really couldn't do a whole lot. Burrow didn't have the time to get the ball downfield. T. Higgins didn't play the best game. They couldn't really get much going. They couldn't really play their offensive game, and they still won the game. So they can overcome that. Evan McPherson was fantastic in this game. Got an MVP of the game, maybe. Give credit to him there. Just wild, just wild. Looking at the 3 interceptions, you can believe the Titans lost, but just other than that, how that game went, like it's pretty bad. It's rare. Has that happened where a team dominated that much up front and they lost? I don't know. So you start to question: is there change? You got to make changes for offense. It's a regular season offense. It's not a playoff offense, And you can't. I talk about this all the time. People say this team's got to get better at quarterback. What are they doing? What are they doing? Sometimes you can say that, but you can't really snap your finger and you got a better quarterback than Ryan Tannehill. It's just how quarterback is. You can't really do that, but you got to definitely be doing your homework here. So that's a tough one for the Titans. One they should win, but a game like this, you realize, at one point we thought the Titans could win a Super Bowl before this game. they weren't winning the Super Bowl. As good as that defense is, that there's an execution problem, especially in big moments. A little sloppy. I don't think they were doing it. I don't think they were getting back by a game they should have won this one, but I don't know if they were getting by the next round, even though they handed it to the Chiefs last time. Bengals will play the Chiefs. They had a great comeback win and beat the Chiefs a few weeks ago, it felt like, end of the regular season. They figured something out in that game. It's a matchup problem. Bengals thrive against a team that blitzes, runs cover 1 and cover 2. It's exactly what the Chiefs do. So will the Chiefs adjust? Can't wait to see that. And the Saturday night game, the upset of the 49ers over the Packers. I never would have guessed 13-10. I never would have guessed that the Packers would only score 10 points. Packers, and what I'm trying to say, Packers don't allow an offensive touchdown. 49ers do not score an offensive touchdown, and the Packers lose. Who the hell would have guessed that? Insane. And we had to know. We were even talking about it during the regular season. The Packers would lose a playoff game probably off of special teams. That's what it looked like. And at the end of the day, that's what it was. But the offense is to blame. They couldn't score more than one touchdown. They started the game with a touchdown. The opening script was fantastic. Nobody's talking about it. A big moment in this game was the Mercedes Lewis fumble early in this game. Big play by Fred Warner. Good thing that guy was healthy for the 49ers' sake. Because the Packers started with the ball, and a beautiful drive, touchdown. You kind of got the feeling like, oh, God, what are the Packers going to do to them? 3 and out, including a sack. Get the ball back. They're moving again. They're good field position. It's looking like this is going to be an ass beating. 14-0 anytime now. Fumble. And the Packers don't score another touchdown since that first touchdown. That was a huge play nobody's talking about. The 49ers defense adjusting, changing their looks, hiding the fact that they're kind of weak at the cornerback position. Amazing. Just different coverages. Rodgers is so good at predicting things and even throwing him off a little bit. That defensive line. Nick Bosa has been fantastic. We expect him to be fantastic. Eric Armstead, good player. He's always been a good player, but that Super Bowl run year, he was insane that year. And we haven't quite seen that. This was that guy in this game. He was fantastic in this game. Fred Warner was fantastic. Drake Greenlaw stepping up. The defensive backs, D'Amico Ryans, maybe coach himself into a head coach. It's going to be strange if Frazier, Bowles, one or the other get a coaching job and not D'Amico Ryans. It's going to be confusing to me, and it might actually happen. It might really happen. Just such a well-coached game. Technically sound, high motor, team defense. 49ers are. There's not too many of those defenses out there. And I tweeted this too. The 49ers got some bad mother effers on their team. They got the baddest guys in the league on their team. Deebo Samuel, Trent Williams, George Kittle. Everybody. All of them. Garoppolo didn't play that great. I think he stays calm in these games, though. There's some quarterbacks that we consider better than Jimmy Garoppolo that just go and lose this game, straight up lose it. Garoppolo didn't really win it. But he did have a bad interception at one point, but I don't really say that he lost it. Well, he didn't lose it. But I think staying relaxed and calm is pretty key here. Deebo Samuel, fantastic. The play of the game was at 3rd and 7. He picks up 9 yards. They give the Deebo Samuel, the receiver at running back. And the Packers got to make that stop there. They got to make that stop there. You can't put it on the defense, but because they didn't allow a single touchdown, but they got to make that stop there. But yeah, you can put in that punt block. Maybe the play of the game, really, actually. I talk about that Fred Warner fumble, that forced fumble. That nobody talks about, but that punt block was wild. It just hung up. I'm like, where is it? It's not coming down, and the players didn't know, and it landed in the perfect spot for the 49ers because it was the furthest spot away from the Packers, and they go and score on it. It's just, that punt block doesn't happen. I don't know. The 49ers were starting to move the ball a little bit there. They were starting to figure some things out. Mitchell was even gaining some yards. Kittle was getting open, catching the ball. 49ers did start with a lot of drops. That's why their offense just started slow. They had some drops. Jennings dropped the ball. Some drops for sure. So that definitely was a factor. Garoppolo's stats could look a little better if they caught the ball, but nothing going for the Packers. I can't really. The 49ers adjusted and doubled Devontae Adams. That was key, and the other guys had to win. And they were starting to win. Lazard being big time at the end of the year, but not in this game. It kind of disappeared for a little bit. Ben saying that Devontae Adams needs more help. They need another receiver in there. Need one badly, and we were getting pissed. Everyone's getting pissed that they're not going on a receiver, but we kind of forgot about it for a little bit there because other guys were just always stepping up all of a sudden, and it was double Adams, and no one was stepping up in this game, and nothing really could happen. People were blaming the play calling. I don't know. It's tough for me. It's a head scratcher for me because I don't really know what they could have done differently. The 49ers were mixing everything up, and they were getting pressure. They were Dennis Kelly had a rough game. They were getting pressure. Should they have run more? People were saying they should have passed more. I don't know. Maybe the thing is they were passing when they should run. They should run, should they pass? I don't know if I really got that feeling. A.J. Dillon getting hurt, I guess, was actually pretty big because he looked like he was a factor early. The physical back, maybe, against a physical team. That was the key. The 49ers so well coached defensively, technically sound, high motor team, play team defense. Everyone attack the ball, make plays at the biggest time. They just really threw off the Packers. I really don't know. Why the Packers lost is because they only scored on the first drive of the game. They couldn't play offense after the script after Devontae Adams was double teamed, and they had a punt blocked for a touchdown. But specifically, it's just tough to. It's really tough to say. Other than the 49ers just made adjustments. They clutched up, changed everything up on defense. It's rare to throw Rodgers off. And it's not like he was thrown off where he's like missing all these throws. He's playing bad. Definitely not the case. It's just it turned in more of a guessing game. I always call it defense a guessing game because the offense lines up and you got to try to figure out if they're running or passing. You're making an educated guess based off that, and then now you're trying to figure out what type of that are they doing. There's just so much of the game these days. So I call defense a guessing game. But the 49ers and offense are always trying to make an educated guess. Offenses are always trying to make educated guesses on what coverage the defense is going to be in. But really, you run the show. You run the play. They got to try to mirror and outplay the play, what you're trying to do. So maybe that was a problem. I don't think so, though. But I think the problem was the Niners flipped it. They made offense more of the guessing, being the guys that had to guess rather than the defense. So I thought that was it's tough to do. Credit to Miko Ryans and that defense. Nick Bosa, Ark Armstead, Fred Warner. You guys played great. Absolutely great. Thin at cornerback, hurt quarterback. Kittle was limping everywhere. Deebo Samuel scared us. He was limping. Trent Williams was limping. That game looked like a war. I tweeted at one point. It looked like a war out there. Just seeing the snow, like the mud, the snow. Everyone just beat up, getting up. They're hurt, limping around. Everyone hitting each other full speed. It just looked like a war. 49ers, they're known for winning those wars. That's just why it's a very, very likable team. Very likable team here. Wild one. Every single one of these games is wild. We got our wish. We got entertaining games. Because they weren't so entertaining last week, wild card round. 49ers go play a team that they're used to playing. They beat 6 times straight. Had a beautiful comeback to. Just think about that, too. 49ers were that close to not even being in the playoffs. The Saints were about to be in the playoffs. 49ers were down 17 points to the Rams. Were that close to not being in the playoffs, and now they're in the NFC Championship game against that team, a team they won 6 straight against, team that they have their number, I'd say it's tough. Usually, you get to the point at 3. It's tough to beat a team 3 times. It's tough to beat a team 7 times, but at that point, maybe it just comes to you. Maybe you're just used to it a bit. For the Packers, we'll talk more about the offseason and projected trades, free agency, all that. I've always laughed at this time of the year. It's kind of got annoying to me that is Rodgers leaving? Is he playing this game again? I always laughed at it. He's coming back. I even tweeted last year. At this time, I'll eat my own underwear. If Aaron Rodgers is starting for a different team, book it, locked it in. And people were worried for me. There was actually people worried for me. I swear I was never worried on that. Sometimes I joke around like wasn't even worried, but no, I was so confident that Aaron Rodgers was playing for the Packers this year. But this time around, now it's getting serious. Now it's not a joke anymore. Now. He might be gone. Could they enter rebuild because they're negative 40 whatever and million in cap space? I got to move on from some guys. The roster's not going to get better. You have to, it's going to get worse, and then maybe you can make it a little better in the draft. But And you got key free agents. So what do you do here? What does Rodgers do? Not going to be a part of the rebuild. Who's going to go get him? I think it's very realistic that he could be elsewhere. So that's going to be the main top talking point here. But we got Bengals, Chiefs. We got 49ers, Rams. Some ball games right there. Some ball games. Be wild. I don't know. It would be wild if it was Bengals 49ers. It'll be wild. I predicted Chiefs Rams in June. My original Super Bowl prediction, I predicted Chiefs Rams. Totally went away from that. Really blew it. The original picks, I always tell myself the original picks always work. But I'm excited. You guys are voting for these games on Twitter. We're always talking on Twitter. You're missing out if you're not following that. There's a link pinned in the comment section, top of the comment section for that. Along with recent key videos. Off-season videos, again, already up and more to come along with the playoff videos. We got you covered here. So subscribe to your notifications on me. Much, much appreciated. That's going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.